Good day and welcome to a quick overview over the skeleton, one of the most basic units a necromancer can wish for. I'll talk first about the general uses of the skeleton, then we're going into the abilities, and last off into the stats and numbers behind this unit. So first off, the skeleton is able to use its skills from the ranks 1, 2 and 3. Most of them are focused into the ranks 1 and 2. And rank 3 offers up some options, but I'd say 1 and 2 are the primary slots. The skeleton is a real jack of all trades, offering damage, stress damage, tanky skills, supportive skills, and the only thing he's missing is magic damage. So this makes him very versatile, with the trade-off of being not good at anything especially. So the key feature of this guy is being immune to buffs and debuffs. This also makes a very average special skill, because it's equally a down as a upside, but there's an item outside there which removes the immunity against buffs, which is quite strong for these guys. Overall, the skeleton is a wonderful filler, being able to jump in every job that's necessary, being either because you're still needing the unlock on the minion because you're just starting out, or because you're having the minion you want on that slot being killed in the last and during the last fight, and you're still waiting for the replacement. Whatever might be the case, the skeleton is a very good unit to fill up an empty slot and do the job somehow. So let's get into the abilities. The first skill is the Unassuming Strike, being a direct attack at the first 2 ranks, ignoring armor, upgradable into block ignoring or never missing. It's a tank buster, it does a decent job at it. Its downside is in being not able to hit ranks 3 and 4, but that's just what you get with a skeleton. It's no specialist, it's a generalist, so there's always some kind of downside. Skill 2 is a stance interrupter, moving the skeleton forward from the ranks 4 or 3 and shoving the enemy back 2 slots. The damage is average, and it's a very unreliable stance interrupter, its main use being a mechanism for the skeleton to move himself back up front when he gets moved into the back ranks. You can use it as an option of a stance interrupter if you start the skeleton at this rank, but it's very unreliable because you have to keep in mind the skeleton has no way to move himself back into the rank 3 once he rushed back in front. So it's a one-time use, making it very unreliable as a stance interrupter, but very useful because this guy can't be pinned down at the back ranks if he ever gets shuffled there. The upgrades being replacement of the stance interrupt with a stun. Quite a useful thing. I like stuns in general. It removes the shove back, or the other thing being just a flat out damage increase with the same effects as the original. Skill 3 is something you will use a lot if you are using the skeleton as a tank, making him issue a taunt, which leads to more attacks on him while increasing armor and resistance. One upgrade increases armor and resistance even more. The other one offers a retaliation stress attack at 100% of the power, making it very powerful for stress formations if you're into that, or making it quite resilient tank if you need one. Downside here, this skill is cool and everything, but it doesn't really make the skeleton the best tank in the world. It does the job, but again, no specialization. It just is a filler if you're needing a tank. Most of the time the skeleton here goes on a suicide mission if you're taking this skill only into elite fights and stuff like that. Skill 4, Embrace Mediocrity, is the support skill of the skeleton, providing armor and resistance for your allies. Triple stack opportunity until the battle's end, upgradable into extra offensive stats, or some more armor and resistance. well, it's a very mediocre support skill, being available on slot 3 as well. Most of the time you want a real supporter, but if you're really forced to use the skeleton as a supporter, he can do this job. And on slot 3 there's also the chance to use this skill if you need to, or on slot 2 you can also use this one. But honestly, most of the time I let the skeleton do different jobs and leave the buffing to other people. But if you're needing armor or resistance for some reason, there you have it, skeleton can provide. Skill 5 is the Smite, a double attack with 40% damage, providing an extra swing per buff. A very versatile attack against buff-heavy enemies, being upgradable into more damage per swing or a insta-kill chance per swing. It's, well, what can I say? Only useful in certain situations, making it average again. There are certain team formations which are able to force buffs onto the enemies, making it a good combo into that. But apart from that, Smite is a more situational skill, and you're going to love it if you're in certain situations, but overall, most of the time, the unassuming strike is providing more damage. Last but not least is the ultimate skill of the skeleton, the Shield Banger, an AoE stress attack with quite high percentage damage, being upgradable into a buff remover or a gamble skill which forces an insanity or an inspiration on the enemies. This is a very strong skill, providing a lot of damage for a low anger cost to a lot of people, with its downside being pure stress damage. If her team formation wants physical damage, this skill is practically useless until you upgrade it, and that needs a level 15 skeleton. So again, there is some downside to this skill, following the rule of being a very average person. So overall, the skeleton sums up to a unit I like to use in every formation, but I love to replace him as soon as I can. And that pretty much sums up the role of the skeleton in general. I'm going to get into the numbers here before I conclude the video. If you'd like to jump off here before we get technical, I would love to see you leaving some comments, some thumbs up or subscriptions to my channel. If not, just thanks for watching, because that's the most important thing after all. So, the stats of the skeleton are quite easily translatable. As you can see, the costs are very low on this end and getting higher at the offensive stats, making it harder to upgrade the pure damage of the skeleton and making it easier to upgrade its utility and defensive stats. That's quite smart, because if it would be easier to upgrade its offensive stats, these skills would utterly become more powerful. So we're having a very cheap way to increase resistances on the skeleton, and we're having 10 ranks of increases, making this the strongest stat on the skeleton, making the tank option a very good option in the long run. We have 6 increases on attack and dread, as well as evasion, luck, accuracy, and yeah, that's it. So making these stats lying in the middle field. Nothing too special, but nothing too bad either. The only value being only twice upgradable is initiative, so the skeleton will always end up quite slow. So that's just that. In the numbers, the skeleton is also very average, providing no armor and resistance in its base stats, having a quite lower accuracy than 100% compared to other people. I think others minions start with a higher accuracy, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Anyways, there's nothing much to say about that. They are quite slow, but again, we're having a easier time upgrading their defensive stats, making the skeleton, even in the stats avenue, an average person. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helped you, to give you some ideas about how to use the skeleton in this game, and feel free to come back for the next video when we go for the next unit. See you guys. Bye bye.